All right, let's dive headfirst into the annals of human ingenuity, or more accurately, the spectacular lack thereof. We're talking about those folks who've managed to remove themselves from the gene pool in ways that make you wonder if they were actively trying to help natural selection along. Forget the humble beginnings, the valiant struggles. These are stories of folks who looked at a problem, concocted a solution so brilliantly misguided it could only exist in a fever dream, and then followed through with the kind of unwavering conviction usually reserved for trying to get that last Dorito out of the bag. Number one. First up, we had a farmer, bless his cotton socks, who apparently decided that modern pest control was just too darn complicated. He had a beehive problem, a buzzing, stinging nuisance that needed to go. Now, most of us might call an exterminator, or at least invest in a proper bee suit. You know, the kind with like actual air holes. But not our man. No, he decided his genius plan involved fire, because nothing says get out of my barn to a colony of angry insects like a good old blaze. And to protect himself from the agitated aerial assault team, a plastic bag, specifically a plastic bag pulled over his head like some kind of impromptu, low budget DIY bee helmet. I can practically hear the internal monologue. Bees can't sting me if they can't see me. Or perhaps this plastic is clear so I can see them, but they can't see me. The logic, as you can probably surmise, was about as watertight as a sieve in a rainstorm. He set his fire, stirred up the hive, and then, in his brilliant plastic bag cocoon of self preservation, proceeded to suffocate. Turns out plastic bags, while excellent for holding groceries or protecting your dry cleaning, are shockingly inefficient at filtering oxygen. It's almost as if the primary function of lungs isn't to be encased in non porous polymer. You really have to admire the unwavering commitment to a truly terrible idea. He certainly achieved his goal of becoming a permanent fixture of the natural landscape, albeit a carbonized one, while the bees, presumably, moved on to pester someone with a slightly stronger grasp of basic biology. Number two. Then there's the universal saga of the vending machine. Oh, the humanity. We've all been there, staring forlornly at that elusive soda or bag of chips stuck just out of reach, a cruel culinary mirage. Most of us might sigh, maybe give it a gentle nudge, or, if we're feeling particularly daring, try another dollar. But our next contender for the Darwinian Hall of Fame decided diplomacy was for chumps. This gentleman, clearly a man of action, opted for the assert dominance approach. He apparently shook, tilted, or otherwise physically accosted a soda dispenser, demanding it relinquish its sugary bounty. Now, these aren't exactly lightweight appliances, are they? They're often bolted down, or at the very least, weighted like a small car. But when you're in the grip of snack-related fury, physics apparently becomes a mere suggestion. Our hero put his back into it, maybe envisioned himself as a modern-day Samson wrestling a monolithic snack guardian. And in a poetic twist of ironic justice, the vending machine fought back. Or rather, gravity did its thing. It toppled, and being a large, heavy, unyielding metal box filled with cans of soda, it landed squarely on top of him, crushing him to death. The soda, one can only assume, remained stubbornly stuck. It's a poignant reminder that while impatience might cost you a few dollars at the checkout, it can occasionally cost you everything when you go head to head with industrial grade beverage distribution systems. One has to wonder if, in his final moments, he still harbored a desperate craving for that frosty can of root beer. Probably not. Number three. From the mundane frustrations of snack machines, we venture into the wildly exotic with Buonrung Buachan, the so-called Thai snake man. Now, the very title should be a red flag, right? Snake Man. It just sounds like a job description that ends in tragic headlines. Bonrung's particular brand of genius involved a glass box, a handful of highly venomous cobras, and an audience. His shtick? To essentially live in the box with these slithering death noodles, proving something. Bravery, foolhardiness, a profound misunderstanding of reptile psychology. The answer, as it turns out, was all of the above, culminating in the latter. For days, he'd apparently coexisted with these creatures, probably making small talk or discussing the existential dread of being a human-sized snack in a glass enclosure. But cobras, bless their hearts, are not known for their boundless patience or their unwavering respect for performance art. They're primarily known for their ability to inject lethal neurotoxins. So, inevitably, one of his scaly roommates decided enough was enough. A bite. And just like that, the Thai snake man became a permanent exhibit, though not in the way he intended. It's a tale as old as time. Play with fire, get burned. Play with venomous snakes, get bitten. It's almost as if some things are inherently dangerous and should probably be admired from a very, very safe distance. Perhaps he was trying to prove that humans could transcend their mammalian fear of fangs, but all he really proved was that cobras are still really, really good at being cobras. Number 4. Speaking of proving things, let's talk about Gary Hoy. Gary was a lawyer in Toronto, a man who, you would think, understood the finer points of liability, risk assessment, and basic structural integrity. He was apparently very proud of the strength of the windows in the high-rise building where his law firm was located. So proud, in fact, that he decided to demonstrate this strength by running full tilt into them. Now you might think, well, the glass must have been incredibly strong, right? And you'd be correct. The glass itself didn't shatter. Oh no, that would be too simple, too straightforward for a Darwin Award. What Gary, in his infinite wisdom, failed to account for was the frame holding that supposedly impenetrable glass. He reportedly crashed into it once, bouncing off to the amusement of his colleagues. See, he probably gloated, strong as heck! But like a true enthusiast, he needed to double down. So he tried again. And this time, instead of the glass breaking, the entire window pane, frame and all, popped out of its housing. And Gary, still propelled by the momentum of his ill-conceived demonstration, sailed right through the newly created opening, plummeting to his death. He proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the glass was indeed robust. He just neglected to confirm that the window was attached to the building in a similarly robust fashion. It's a truly exquisite example of tunnel vision, where the focus on one component entirely overshadowed the integrity of the whole system. A lawyer, no less, failing to read the fine print of gravity. Number 5. And now, for a touch of classic American ingenuity, or lack thereof, we present the DIY pickup truck bungee jump. Now, bungee jumping is already an activity that requires a certain leap of faith, usually into the hands of professionals who use purpose-built, highly elastic cords and safety harnesses. But our next subject clearly thought, why pay for fancy specialized equipment when I've got a perfectly good set of tie-down cords for my pickup truck? Yes, those cords you use to secure a stack of plywood or a grill in the bed of your F-150. Clearly, the same elasticity and load-bearing capacity, right? He found himself a bridge, attached his repurposed truck cords, and took the plunge. Now, anyone who's ever stretched one of those cords knows they have a limited, very abrupt amount of give before they just stop. They're designed to be taut, not bouncy. Our man, however, apparently neglected this crucial detail. He didn't so much bungee jump as he did bungee fall. The cord snapped taut almost immediately, delivering a bone-jarring, neck-snapping jolt that was less exhilarating rebound and more sudden stop at terminal velocity. The result, predictably, was fatal. It's a stark reminder that while the American spirit of improvisation is commendable, there are certain areas, like plummeting hundreds of feet towards the earth, where cutting corners with garage door springs or repurposed automotive accessories is probably not the wisest financial or life saving decision. Sometimes it really is worth paying for the proper tools for the job, especially when the job involves defying gravity. Number 6. Next, imagine this. The year is 2005. Hurricane Wilma, a tempestuous lass, is throwing a full-blown tantrum over Florida. Forecasters are practically screaming, "Stay inside, people!" This ain't no gentle breeze for drying your laundry. We're talking gale force winds, storm surges, the whole 9 yards of meteorological mayhem. Most sensible folks are boarding up windows, stocking canned goods, maybe even nervously hugging their significant others. But not our man. Oh no, our man, a true connoisseur of extreme sports and apparently extreme obliviousness, sees not a Category 3 hurricane, but a prime opportunity. He looks out at the churning, frothing Atlantic, the trees bending like humble servants before a monarch, and thinks, you know what this needs? A kite surfer. Yes, a kite surfer. With the kind of unwavering optimism usually reserved for lottery ticket buyers, he straps himself into his gear, ignoring every single blaring warning, every panicked news report, every instinct that screams, don't. He believed with the earnest conviction of a motivational speaker that he could conquer Mother Nature herself with nothing but a glorified bedsheet and a board. Now, I'm not sure what kind of physics textbook he was reading, but I'm pretty sure it didn't cover the immense, unstoppable force of a hurricane. He launched himself into the maelstrom, probably hoping for some epic, slow-motion, Instagram-worthy wipeout that would make him a legend. And a legend he became, all right? A cautionary tale legend. He was last seen, After that, the ocean decided it needed his kite surfing equipment more than he did. And he was, shall we say, rapidly uninstalled from the gene pool. It turns out even the most extreme sport has its limits. And those limits are generally defined by not going out in a freaking hurricane. Who knew? Number 7. Next, let's journey over to the Philippines, to an industrial plant where the daily grind was, shall we say, taken a little too literally. We're talking about a large industrial meat grinder, not your kitchen countertop model that churns out dinner for two. We're talking about a beast designed to process literal tons of animal matter. It had a safety grate, as these machines usually do, because, it's generally considered bad form to let human beings become part of the processed product. Now, our unfortunate participant was a worker on the factory floor. The machine, as machines sometimes do, got a bit jammed up. Perhaps a stubborn bone, a tough sinew, something just wasn't sliding through. The correct procedure, of course, would be to hit the emergency stop button, wait for the machine to completely power down, and then clear the jam with appropriate tools. But our man, in a moment of what can only be described as profound impatience, mixed with a dash of I know better, decided that waiting was for suckers. He figured he could just reach into the active, whirring maw of the industrial grinder and give it a little nudge with his bare hands while it was still running. You can almost hear the cartoon whump sound effect as he leaned in, probably thinking he'd just give it a quick poke. The grinder, however, had other ideas. It wasn't about to let a mere human hand interfere with its destiny of turning everything into a fine, uniform paste. In a horrifying, swift motion, it grabbed hold. And an industrial meat grinder, let me tell you, does not let go. Not for polite requests, not for screams, and certainly not for the sudden, desperate realization that maybe, just maybe, safety protocols exist for a reason. His torso was pulled in, making him the most unfortunate and, ironically, final ingredient of the day. A truly efficient, albeit grisly, way to thin out the workforce. Number 8. Now, hop on a plane with me all the way to the rugged, beautiful, and sometimes surprisingly deadly Australian outback. Not the desert part, mind you, but a property in Victoria, where a gentleman had decided to keep a pet deer. Or, more accurately, a pet stag. And not just any stag, but a sizable one, complete with a rack of antlers that could double as a medieval weapon. Now, while Bambi might be cute and cuddly on screen, real deer, especially stags, are not. They are wild animals, driven by instinct, hormones, and an innate desire to occasionally gore things. Especially during mating season, when they get particularly territorial and aggressive. Our Australian friend, however, seemed to have confused his pet stag with a particularly large antlered golden retriever. He treated it like a docile companion, probably scratched it behind the ears, maybe even tried to teach it to fetch. One day he was out on his property just minding his business when, for reasons known only to the stag and perhaps the deep, primal instincts of wild animals, the pet decided it had had enough of domestication. Or maybe it was just having a bad antler day. Whatever the reason, the stag charged. And it wasn't playing. It used those magnificent, bony protrusions on its head for their intended purpose. Impalement. The man, caught off guard by the sudden and entirely predictable savagery of a wild animal, didn't stand a chance. He was gored repeatedly, succumbing to his injuries right there on his own land. It's a stark reminder that some pets come with very sharp, pointy, and deadly accessories. Sometimes the wild things just want to stay wild, and attempting to impose domesticity can come with a very steep final price. Number 9. And now, let's take a grim safari to Zimbabwe, where a man with a rather ambitious and frankly boneheaded plan decided to tackle the elephant poaching problem with a unique, self-defeating strategy. You see, elephants are majestic creatures, but their ivory is unfortunately highly coveted on the black market. Our protagonist, a poacher himself, wanted to make it easier to get his hands on that ivory. His brilliant scheme? To plant anti-personnel landmines in areas where elephants roamed, ensuring a quick and explosive end to the magnificent beasts. Now, acquiring landmines isn't exactly like picking up groceries. These are dangerous, military-grade explosives designed to maim and kill. But he got his hands on them. And then came the truly genius part of his plan. He decided to transport these highly unstable, pressure-activated devices not in a secure container or a specialized vehicle, but by carrying them himself. Like a picnic basket full of doom. He was literally walking around with multiple landmines, probably dreaming of all the ivory he'd soon be collecting. As you might have guessed, or perhaps more accurately predicted with absolute certainty, things didn't go according to his meticulous, yet deeply flawed blueprint. One of the landmines perhaps jostled a little too much, or perhaps just eager to fulfill its explosive destiny, decided it was time to detonate. Right there and then. While he was carrying it. The resulting explosion, as you can imagine, was quite thorough. It didn't just take care of him, it scattered pieces of his grand, ill-conceived poaching scheme across the landscape. The elephants, meanwhile, continued their peaceful grazing, blissfully unaware that a human had just self-selected himself out of existence in an effort to blow them up. Sometimes, the universe just has a hilarious way of ensuring karmic justice, even if it's delivered with a bang. Number 10. You know, in this age of instant gratification and social media supremacy, everyone wants that perfect shot. That one picture that screams, "Look at me, I'm living life on the edge." Well, our next contestant, a gentleman with a keen eye for dramatic backdrops, certainly found an edge. Literally. He was hiking, probably in some beautifully scenic, vertigo inducing locale, when he spotted it. A tree branch jutting out precariously, hundreds of feet above a canyon. The perfect spot for an epic selfie, he thought. The kind that would make all his followers gasp with admiration. He climbed out onto the branch, probably striking his most daring pose, maybe even flashing a peace sign or a thumbs up. He probably envisioned the likes flooding in, the comments raving about his adventurous spirit. What he likely didn't envision was the branch, a mere piece of timber, having the audacity to decide it had had enough of supporting human aspirations. With a groan that probably echoed through the canyon, the branch gave way. 100 feet down, not exactly the likes he was looking for, unless you count the grim, silent acknowledgement of gravity. It seems some photos are truly to die for, just not in the way he'd hoped. A stark reminder that sometimes the best view is from solid ground. Number 11. Now, this next one is so uniquely American, it practically deserves its own bald eagle screech in a fireworks display. We're in Kansas, the land of waving weed and, well, apparently very ambitious dogs. Picture this, a gentleman out and about with his trusty canine companion in the back of his pickup truck. And in that same pickup truck, completely unsecured and very much loaded, was his rifle. Because, you never know when a rogue squirrel might challenge you to a duel. His dog, a creature of boundless energy and perhaps a touch of clumsiness, was doing what dogs do, enthusiastically exploring its surroundings. It was probably sniffing around, maybe trying to catch a stray sunbeam, or perhaps just having an existential moment about the meaning of fetch. In the course of its canine adventures, it stepped on the rifle. And because the rifle was loaded, and because the safety was, shall we say, optimistically disengaged, the gun fired. The shot hit its owner. Fatally? Yes, you heard that right. A dog, unintentionally, tragically, shot its owner. It's a tale that sounds like it was cooked up in a darkly comedic improv show, but alas, it's a testament to the unforeseen consequences of leaving powerful tools unsecured. It seems even man's best friend can be a little too good at playing fetch when the fetch involves a bullet. A bizarre, unfortunate, and entirely preventable incident that reminds us to always secure our tools, especially the ones that go bang. Number 12. We all strive for peak physical performance, don't we? Our next recipient certainly did. He was driving, probably on his way to or from the gym, fueled by ambition and the promise of sculpted abs. In his hand, he had a container of protein powder, and because he was clearly a multitasker of the highest order, he decided to mix it right there and then. But not with a shaker bottle, oh no. That would be too conventional. He chose a knife, a sharp, pointy knife, to stir his protein powder while driving. Because nothing says gym bro like a DIY culinary experience in a moving vehicle. Now, as fate, or perhaps just Newton's laws, would have it, something happened. Maybe he hit a pothole. Maybe he swerved. Whatever the trigger, the car's airbag, sensing an imminent collision and doing its job, deployed. And when that airbag exploded out of the dashboard, it didn't just cushion his impact, it also quite efficiently impaled him with the very knife he was using to mix his protein powder. Right in the neck. It's a tragic confluence of bad decisions. Mixing a sharp object with a vehicle, ignoring basic driving safety, and assuming that an airbag would somehow know not to turn your culinary tool into a deadly projectile. One moment, he's envisioning gains. The next, he's part of a very unfortunate, very permanent lesson in vehicular thermodynamics and the dangers of distracted driving with impromptu cutlery. And so, as we wrap up this installment, remember, these stories aren't just about a few unfortunate individuals. They're vital lessons, often learned the hard way. They remind us that sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't out there but between our ears. If you enjoyed these tales of triumphant natural selection, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our channel. And we want to hear from you. What's the most unbelievable Darwin-worthy moment you've ever witnessed? Drop your stories in the comments below. Stay sharp, folks, and we'll catch you next time.